But the 2018 NBA draft class, the extension season is kind of up. You got Mayfield, you got Lamar Jackson, you got Josh Allen, all in talks with their teams. Joe, I want to know which quarterback deserves the most money right now in that extension and why.
It would have to be, I hate him as a player, not as a person, but as a player. But it would have to be Lamar Jackson because he's had the most success. Already has an MVP after 3 years. Has taken his team to the playoffs each year, I think. And he has broken numerous records from on the ground and in the air as just a quarterback alone. It would have to be him who gets the most money.
Yeah.
I think Josh Allen will come out on top, though.
Yeah.
But if the Bills give him an extension before the end of the year or before the season starts or whatever, it's going to be a mistake because I still don't trust him.
Yeah, that's the thing about this, right? I said Lamar Jackson. I think Baker Mayfield is better than people give him credit for. I saw somebody say
I have something to say about Baker Mayfield, but go on.
Yeah, I think he's better than people give him credit for, but I also don't think he's like, this superhuman quarterback yet. Josh Allen was better than Lamar Jackson last season, and anyone who tells you otherwise is either a Ravens fan or had Jackson on his fantasy team. But ultimately, I trust Lamar Jackson more because he's done it over more years. Joe and I are the first people to kind of, roast Lamar Jackson. I don't know. We both don't think Lamar Jackson's going to be this long-term quarterback because of the way he plays. But we think he's really, really good now. I think here's the problem with Josh Allen. He made so many boneheaded mistakes and was so streaky the first 2 seasons that if he's going to get an extension now, the Bills are going to be able to leverage that. Meanwhile, Lamar, the only real criticism that Joe and I have is his pass accuracy. It's not that good, but he can use the excuse of, I didn't have receiving help. And that's where I think Lamar Jackson's ultimately going to command more money. And Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's probably the thing. I think Lamar Jackson just has more explanations for his shortcomings than Josh Allen does.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. And Joe, I want to know which quarterback you think in terms of contract and the way.
Whoa.
Okay, fair enough.
I just got to say one quick thing about my guy Baker.
I
am fully on the Baker bandwagon.
Same.
Baker Mayfield. I don't think he's had the same coach for more than a season.
Yeah, I know he hasn't.
Yeah. So this is his first season with back-to-back seasons of having the same coach.
100%.
I think that he's going to be scary.
I hope you're right.
I think he's going to be a top 7 quarterback by the end of the year.
Wow.
Yeah. And the only reason I say this is because we don't know what he will be. He had a whole year to adjust to the new system.
Yep.
And the system obviously works. And he came into the league as regarded as one of the top quarterbacks, sort of.
Yep.
Not like in the league, but coming in the draft. I mean, so having Stefanski as the coach again, and I don't see them firing him anytime soon. If they did, then classic Browns. But I mean, I think Baker Mayfield could be scary this year in the same system.
Yeah.
So that's what I got to say.
I actually like that point a lot, Joe. So I want to tell you something I heard actually. There's these. TikTok isn't the best source of sports content. It's usually Twitter.
It's a great source. We Hoopin', ESPN.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
CBS
we Hoopin'. The only thing We Hoopin' does well is be a LeBron fan, and even that he takes it too far. It's clear he doesn't know basketball. I mean, he doesn't know football either. But
he's a bandwagon. What? No, he's the worst case to have as a LeBron fan. He's a bandwagon.
Yeah, he doesn't actually understand the sport of basketball. He just kind of was like, oh, LeBron James, woo! I'm like, all right, man. Actually watch LeBron James play and break him down. But anyway, when we're talking football, I saw this TikTok podcast with some guys who actually know their stuff. Matt Sponhour knows his stuff, and he was on this podcast with one Browns fan and one guy who seems like who makes a living hating on Baker pretty much. And this one guy said, I think Baker Mayfield's an overrated quarterback, and he's going to be a big disappointment next year. But Joe, I think that that's the best counter argument to it, because he was like, "Oh, give me a game where Baker was good," and they were like Baltimore, and everyone was like, "Well," and the guy was like, "Well, yeah, but like he played like crap in the first quarter, and that's why they lost." And it seemed like he was grasping at straws, but that's the best counterpoint. This is his first season with the same coach, and he, by the end of the year, was a pretty good starting quarterback. I wouldn't say he was like blowing anyone out of the water, but he was good. And you're telling me that if he builds rapport with OBJ, which by the way, only played with OBJ for 8-9 weeks, that's scary. That's frightening. Like, I don't want to face that. And especially with that defense, that Browns team is going to be dirty. And I think that Baker Mayfield, I'm with you, Joe. I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. And this kind of segues me kind of into the next question here, though. Because a lot of people are going to say that the answer to this question is Baker Mayfield, but I think I disagree. Which long-term contract will prove most damaging for the franchise in question?
Lamar Jackson.
Yep. Okay.
Only because his play style is not one for longevity.
Yes.
And I feel like the Ravens front office might come up with like a Patrick Mahomes type deal, which would be a mistake. I mean, not $500 million worth, but like an 8-year deal or something.
Yep.
You know, and that's going to be a mistake. I mean, I think he should be on a 4 contract deal and then see what happens after that. But it's the Ravens, and I don't like their front office at all. They've made some terrible decisions, especially in the draft. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be Lamar Jackson. Bills would be second in my, because again, Josh Allen, he's only had one good season.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to say it's Lamar because of the same reasons you said. I think Josh Allen is maybe the riskiest because, again, he was phenomenal last year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was second or third in MVP voting. Like I can't dispute that. But before he was below average. And that's the question, right? I don't think this is an aberration season. I think he's still going to be really good next year, but we don't know. So I think Josh Allen is the riskiest if they were to lock him down to something long-term now, which they probably will, but they could probably get it for cheaper. Lamar Jackson long-term, I have faith in Josh Allen. I think Lamar Jackson, phenomenal player. Like, I'm not going to dispute it, but I think the pass accuracy concerns aren't going to be solved by Terrace Marshall Jr. No disrespect. And I think that ultimately, you said it best. He's a running quarterback who isn't exactly the biggest build. I worry about that after a few years of taking heavy hits. And I hope that I'm wrong on that. And I hope Lamar Jackson winds up being an incredible football player that plays for 10, 15 years. But you're right, Joe. This style isn't conducive to long-term health.